Are you prepared for perhaps the most elaborate and over-the-top analysis I have ever done? No, seriously, I don't think you can handle the pure depth of this. This is Finding Nemo, a Pixar film, and for the sake of the near meme-worthy complexity addiction I have, I've analyzed every single minor detail seen in this film and its 2016 sequel, just so that I can extrapolate animated plot holes into a gargantuan horror story hidden between the lines. If you're new here, that's great, but you have to be open to this kind of thing, because Finding Nemo tells basically the whole life story of the Sherman family without the characters even saying a word. I have spent hours upon hours triangulating the location of P. Sherman's dentist office from the view of Sydney out the window. I have analyzed every single thing hidden on calendars and posters in the corners of his office's room, and I have delved so deep into my own theories on top of theories that the resolution becomes one of the most difficult to explain things I've built in my life. So without further ado, here's the story of Philip Sherman, his brother, and his amazingly insane niece, Darla, who is the crucial portal to the nether side of this movie. Hello, I'm the Theorizer, and I'm aware that people have speculated on the origins of characters like Darla. I mean, Pixar's really asking for it when they go and put P. Sherman's photograph of her in Finding Dory's Marine Life Institute. Oh, you didn't know about that? Well, even if you did, that doesn't even scratch the surface of this colossal iceberg. I've cut myself off from viewing all other theories on Darla, aside from that one the Super Carlin brothers did a while back, which, by the way, was some awesome in-depth speculation, but I'm tackling the whole entire Sherman family, every aspect of them, every detail available, every source known to man. P. Sherman's backstory, his life story, his brother, yes, and the inherited dentistry occupation. So let's look at every tiny detail seen in every office, be it P. Sherman or the Institute, because we might begin to piece together just a fragment of this elusive tale. So let's start off by getting a basis of P. Sherman's little dentist rooms. From here on out, we'll be calling him Philip, because that is his name. You can tell this by looking at the detailed certificates on his waiting room's wall, or by scouring the internet for a Portuguese 144p video copy of Finding Nemo's 2003 official guidebook. Hold on, I'm saving that for later. His name is Philip Sherman. So Philly over here has his little aquarium, he has lots of children's drawings on his walls, and many certificates. He has lots of marine diagrams, marine art, and marine paraphernalia in general, as well as a few posters encouraging flossing and brushing teeth. When you really take the time to zoom and enhance, these posters seem to be produced by an association composed of dentists and piano tuners. Interesting combination. Dr. Sherman also has an incomprehensibly important calendar of appointments on his wall, which is basically the metaphysical key to everything. He has some brochures to Maui and Emeryville, which is Pixar's headquarters, and finally, he has some unintelligible notes posted all around. But right next to the fish, he has 3 framed photographs. One of his boat, constantly referred to as the Aussie Flosser, if you observe carefully. The other photos include the main one we see of Darla Sherman's 7th birthday, where she murdered Chuckles the goldfish, and the other, final photo, is of Philip receiving a large Golden Tooth Award in his slightly younger years. So aside from the little x-rays, garbage cans, toilets, and other unimportant dentist objects, is there anything else? Yes. He has a waiting room, and these details are utterly crucial. We'll get to the theory in just a second. His waiting room has his certificates, Barbara, his receptionist, and it has a bunch of Easter egg toys on the ground for children to play with, like Buzz Lightyear. It has plenty of magazines and newspapers, some with very important details on them, like the one this child's mother reads, which literally has Philip's advertisement on it. Inception much? In the sequel film, Finding Dory, we also get to see a lot of details in various offices within the Marine Life Institute. Now, the famous ultimate Pixar theory timeline is highly controversial. I'm sure you've heard of it. Even amongst Pixar's very own staff, it's controversial, but nobody would question whether or not the first film takes place within the same universe as the second one. It's a direct sequel. It obviously takes place in the same world. So I will take evidence within these 2 films and cross them over, but not from any other external source. Famous little inexplicable Easter eggs like Darla Sherman being on the cover of Molly Davis's magazine in Toy Story 3, that is just as I said, an Easter egg. The picture itself, as you can see, is the one from Darla entering her uncle Philip Sherman's office, where no camera was available to actually take this shot. Ergo, it's not relevant here. Darla's a different person in that universe, or maybe it's completely irrelevant altogether. Anyways, in Finding Dory, we can see a lot of cool details all around, including a calendar I'll get to momentarily. We see lots of notes, lots of details, and a jaw-dropping reveal that Darla knows people working here, because in the quarantine office we see Darla. No, not just Darla, but the same picture of Darla that Dr. Sherman had in his office. The person who put that there knows the Sherman family, but we still don't have enough evidence for a closer connection. The Super Carlin brothers at this point came to a very similar conclusion because of this bizarrely located photograph, but I'm not halting quite yet. That's mostly all of the details we see in the Institute. There's not many of value since we don't actually see the Sherman family in this film. Shockingly enough, however, Philip was supposed to make a cameo appearance in this film. Yes, flabbergasting, I know. Where on earth would they put him here? Well, that's just the question we need to answer. His voice actor unfortunately passed away, so they couldn't put him in the film, which also means Philip had a speaking role, an importance. But again, we'll connect the dots in a moment, because there's one final detail we can find in the short film released with The Incredibles that can possibly connect things together further. Now, I know I said I wouldn't be inter-film Easter egging, but this isn't really an Easter egg at all, because the short film Bound In physically takes place in this Finding Nemo universe. Now, it looks like Australia, but it actually isn't. I think they say it's Western America. I normally would analyze the plants and animals seen, but the ridiculously analytical depth you're about to see is why I don't have the time to analyze this short film. Anyways, it has come to my attention thanks to the short film's audio commentary that the character whose arm is grabbing the sheep to shear him is none other than Dr. Philip Sherman himself. Halt, halt, halt. What? Oh yes, and get this, his love of nature trumps his love of dentistry by a mile. The amount of evidence for this in Finding Nemo alone is baffling. Dr. Sherman is a naturalist. It's his favorite possible dream and hobby to deal with nature and the creatures inside of it. His calendar has diving under the Sunday, which is the day he captured Nemo with his pal, who I'll get to in a moment. So he loves diving and boating with his Aussie flosser. His arm is the one used to shave sheep in the American West, which could possibly be more evidence pointing to how he traveled to California, aside from the fact that he was supposed to be in Finding Dory. Additionally, he's basically a mock of Steve Irwin, what with his Australian nature, his catchphrase of crikey, his naturalism, and all of his personality. He goes so far as to order his tank fish from eBay and mail orders. He cares about them all deeply. His posters and everything in his dentist room are of a marine nature, as well as one of them featuring presumably a koala. He gives his niece fish, which she intriguingly is obsessed over, and he grabs struggling fish every time he goes out diving. So, all of this is incredibly important for what we're about to solve. Because in my recent obsession with delving into Philip's mind, I was led to a guidebook known as the Finding Nemo Official Guidebook 2nd Edition. It contains tons of information on the film, as well as 2 pages on the humans, which I became desperate to see for the sake of this video's accuracy. I didn't want to spend a few weeks for an unreliable Amazon order to come in, but all of the false PDFs of it online were riddled with malware. I knew I needed some key details before making any sort of outlandish claim like Darla's parentage or nationality. I browsed the internet deeper than ever, and I found a website of a Pixar fan who took brief screen images of each of the pages. I got half the details on the pages I needed, but the other half were still hidden. I got key details like Philip loving to go diving with his dentist friends, and I got to see his certificates up close, but I needed more. So I scavenged for the guidebook on the depths of YouTube and found a Portuguese version. It happened to also be the first edition, not the second, but research tells me that these books have the same information, just rearranged and with some bonus stickers at the end. The video was low quality and the pages turned fast, but I managed to capture the moment of each page's full view, and I took it to Photoshop where I digitally enhanced it. I got half the remaining information from Google Translate, key details such as how Philip is a famous Australian dentist, This makes sense, as he even pulled one of the Prime Minister's teeth midway through Finding Nemo. It also states that 42 Wallaby Way is a family business, implying the dentist's office is indeed the location of that address and not his house. Who knows though, maybe he lives nearby as well. Then again, he always comes in at 9 o'clock, which is apparently late, despite the receptionist Barbara being fine with it and Peach knowing he'll be in at exactly 9. But he says he's late. That says more about him than anything. Anywho, it also says dentistry at this location goes as far back as his great-grandfather from 1895. Well, that's as far as I could make out. Like, seriously, if any of you have this guidebook in English, tell me. It says he uses dentistry as a gateway to his true passion of marine life, and his office shows it. I already realized this, but then the last bits of info got so unbelievably blurry that 2 very helpful Brazilian viewers helped me translate it on Twitter. Users at 12JGY and at LucasMA83912255 helped out by viewing the words as a collective whole instead of individually like Google Translate. There was only a single paragraph left. I tried working it more with Photoshop to no avail. They managed to make out something that it said along the lines of Darla going to school, being in 2nd grade, and shaking fish bags of the fish she loves. Piecing it together, I managed to make out that she is in grade 2 at a fictional Sydney school known as Waltzing Matilda Primary School. It took 20 hours, but I managed to peg down Waltzing Matilda as being a famous Australian song with no school named this that I could find. So why is this all important? Because in my rush to agree with the Super Carlin Brothers theory that Darla is American and her parents work at the Marine Life Institute, I forgot to acknowledge that she does hiss through her braces a forming Australian accent. Things like, "fish in my hair," and "twinkle twinkle little star." I agree with the notion that she's directly tied to the Institute, but I think it's inverted. And this is where the mind blow descends into brains galore. By this point, I have 17 pages of notes. Over the top, you must now agree with me, but this is all stuff Pixar has distinctly put in their film, and key details they've intentionally put in their guidebook, which 0 people have analyzed this thoroughly, aside from that awesome video by the Carlin Bros. It's also said in either the book or some other detailed location that Philip gave her the shirt that reads Rock and Roll Girl. The thing with this girl, the thing that prompts me to say that she isn't often around her uncle, is that the last time she visited was on her birthday a year prior, when she murdered Chuckles the goldfish. Annual visits, huh? Sounds like a vacation. I was even inclined to say that the second diver with Philip, whose identity I was dead set on figuring out, was her father, until this damn guidebook implies it to be a dentist friend. So you may ask, is the book canon? Well, it has high-res images of the certificates seen on Sherman's wall, and it is official, so yes. But my theory is only the beginning. It has only set the evidence. I mean, all of it, but the evidence nonetheless. It even mentions in the book how Darla gets a special discount on braces, and in the film, Philip does fiddle with them, so he clearly is her primary orthodontist, but she still has a bit of a clear separation from him and doesn't see him too often. Why is this? Well, I might get more into that info within the next week so I can actually have time to edit the video, but before this video gets too long for me to edit, I can say I think there's some separation issues with her parents. Clearly, her last name implies that it must be her father, who is a brother to Philip Sherman. And while it is implied he dives with dentist friends, the symmetry and intrigue of this second blue diver, who photographs Marlin like a tourist, implies to me that Darla lives in Sydney with her mother, has a divorced father who lives in California where he works at the Marine Life Institute, and once a year Darla gets to spend it all with that side of the family, because Darla's daddy did something. She values fish like she rarely gets them from the people she looks up to. See what I mean? This common belief system is inverted when the guidebook gets involved. Theories by the Carlin brothers, Reddit, everyone. It gets inverted. The implied divorce, violent little girl, family living locations, all of it. Inverted but maintained. Darla's fascination with fish, including piranhas, intrigues me. Or how she just showed up to Dr. Sherman's office without a parent present. like they just left. I don't know about you, but I'm starting to feel empathy for a serial fish killer. This might take a lot of theorizing and writing to do, but rest assured I know what I'm doing with this boatload of evidence I've gathered. As soon as I can, I'll get out the next video continuing this, where I'll not only piece more and more puzzle parts together, but I also found a foolproof way to literally triangulate the exact location of the dentist's office and the Marine Life Institute on real maps. I found P. Sherman 42 Wallaby Way Sydney, and not jokingly or half-baked like those incorrect addresses you see people going to online. This is real. This is its real but still fictional location based off of the angle by which the window looks across Sydney Harbor. Next Friday I'll try as fast as I can, but I've never made such huge videos before. So much data. I even think that the piano and dentist company making those posters for Sherman's office might be a part of it all. The Carlin brothers made the assumption that one of Darla's parents is a rock star based on Sherman's oversized shirt he gave her, and I agree to the extent that her father could be an ex-pianist after the recent divorce. Opera house, famous family business, all of it is proven. The year the film takes place, the family tree hidden within it, the errors of calendars seen in both movies, and the internet's assumptions are all proven to be half correct in one of the best things I've ever done in my life. Sad, I know, my life. But until next week, if you aren't yet, subscribe. At zero cost to you, click the big red subscribe button below because it's crucial that this finishes strong. Clicking it will ensure you eventually see the next video. If you want to be notified of when the video immediately goes up in the coming week, make sure to click that little bell next to the button as well because it will make sure you get notified. Perhaps leave comments below with your own evidence and theories and click the like button, I'm not sure. But I think YouTube's algorithm likes that kind of thing because things are getting surprisingly intense for a minor character in a decade-and-a-half-old Pixar film, and it only gets crazier. After my little outro, you might see, if the next video is already out, a thumbnail you can click on to take you to part 2. But that won't be for the next week. You might also see a link to my Patreon, where, if you pledge only a few bucks a month, you can see all of them early! So until then, stay intrigued, everyone. I'm the Theorizer.